Hello friends, this is Dr. Zandra Palma coming to you from our New York Parsley Health office. And today I've been doing some reading. I've been doing some reading about nutrition, and this is a paper that's kind of shaken up the scene because everything that we've been thinking about nutrition as doctors in the last 20 years tells us that eggs are actually good for you. That old kind of 1970s thought that eggs contain cholesterol and thus raise your bad cholesterol was debunked many years ago. But now something controversial has come out in a very important paper called JAMA, Journal of the American Medical Association, which is a really reputable paper that you have to have a high power study to get into. And this study was high power indeed. There were about 30,000 participants that they followed over 20 years. And they got data on these people about how many eggs they were eating a day and how much saturated fat in general they were consuming. And they found that eggs actually were positively associated with cardiovascular disease risk and with death from all causes. So does this mean that eggs are bad for you? This is a reversal of what we've been thinking for the last 20 years, and there was a previous reversal before that. I'll tell you where I think that these data are coming from. I think what's happening is that the average American is eating a kind of egg that is pretty unhealthy, which is not organic, it's not from hens that were raised in a pasture, and it's industrially farmed from hens that were fed on grain that was sprayed with herbicides, pesticides, and other nasties. I think this is the same reason we're seeing so much egg intolerance in children and adults across the US. The difference between eggs that were raised in a pasture and eggs that were from hens that were raised in a cage, even if it's a bigger cage, even if the box says cage free, they can still be raised in a big cage. The difference between those two eggs is huge. If you break the eggs open, you'll see a difference in the color of the yolk. And that difference comes from the composition of the fatty acids in the yolk. The fatty acids that are good for you, omega-3s, these fatty acids that are in fish oils, which your doctor might give you to improve your cholesterol, those are much more abundant in eggs from hens that were raised in a pasture. In fact, they're about 2.5 times more abundant in eggs from hens that were raised in a pasture than in normal eggs. Ideally, we would eat a ratio of 1-to-1 omega-3 fats to omega-6 fats, and that's kind of how we evolved to eat. But in our modern day lifestyle, we are very far from that mark. And these modern day industrially farmed eggs usually have a ratio of about 19 omega-6s to 1 omega-3. So that is the wrong ratio. We definitely want more omega-3s. Omega-6s do cause cardiac inflammation. They are pro-inflammatory all over the body, but especially in the cardiac system. Eggs from hens that were raised in a pasture also have other nutritional benefits beyond just the omega-3s, like high levels of B vitamins, zinc, the fat-soluble form of vitamin A, which is very anti-inflammatory, and it's a good free radical scavenger. Other carotenoids like lutein, zeaxanthin, which are really good for your eyes, and also really good free radical scavengers. Choline, which we need for our brain function. We need to keep our brain's membranes fluids. Pregnant mothers need about 3 eggs per day of choline just to maintain a healthy brain for their baby. So overall, do I think eggs are unhealthy? No. Do I think the association between people eating industrially farmed eggs and heart disease is real? Yes, probably. And just to note, the hazard ratio, so the likelihood that your risk of death from all causes or from heart disease goes up if you eat half an egg or more a day, was about 1.1. So it's very slightly off equal risk. That's my read on this. If you want to read it, this is the title of the paper. It's a great paper done by brilliant researchers, lots of power, high number of subjects, but definitely think through the results and think about why we're getting these results.